Another Canadian airline hits the bankruptcy button. Lynx Air, RIP.
Yeah.
I just flew Lynx Air, and it's surprising. I saw the article a day or two ago. I flew, I think, Toronto to Tampa a few months ago. Liked it. I think it was like $250 round trip, direct, right? I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna do this more often. Like, you know, I'll just go for a weekend. I'll throw my kids, you know, the kids and like my wife and kids, you know, $1,000, like, you know, round trip, just for 4 days. You know, I have to like take off time from work, maybe take one day off if it's a long weekend, blah blah blah. And then, sure enough, they go bankrupt, right? But there's a lot. Like, it's not like they're the only ones that have that price point.
There's a few of them.
Flair, there's Lynx, there is Swoop.
Air Canada Rouge, you mentioned.
Yeah, so they're all around the same thing. Like, a lot of these airlines are doing like Toronto to. There was another one that was Toronto to Montego Bay, I think.
Oh.
And I flew that airline. It's a new one. I think there was maybe WestJet's version of like their budget.
Oh, so I think it's just too much competition, man. I don't think there's anything else. I mean, can you name, you flew Lynx, what was their competitive advantage compared to any of the other budget airlines?
I guess, you know what, the problem is with Canada is it's a very low populated country, and it's a big country, right? With America, you've flown some American budget airlines, haven't you?
No. I haven't flown, but I've heard people who've flew out their girlfriends on these budget airlines.
I flew, I can tell you like so many, like I've probably done about 20, 30 trips within the US. I actually have like a lot of like, you know, ways to fly cheap. So for example, my strategy is if I'm going to the West Coast,
okay,
I'll fly from Toronto to Vegas. And then from there, boom, I can go anywhere in that West Coast for like $10.
What?
$10?
Maybe $20.
Wait, actually, $20 flight?
This Uber?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Uber prices.
So, and if I'm going to like the Northeast, Toronto to New York, it's pretty cheap. And then from there, you can kind of take one way.
Which airlines though?
Which airlines? No, let's reverse here. You went up for $20?
Yeah.
So I was in Vegas and I had a business trip to LA. My flight was $17.
No way.
Canadian.
See,
how?
So this is the thing. I'm there.
Did you have a seat?
Oh, it's a toilet seat.
No,
yeah, there.
Regular airline.
No, I don't believe you. We need proof.
I'm in Vegas at the McCann Airport, whatever it's renamed. So I'm there. I'm at the gate. I'm like, okay, it was maybe a 10 a.m. flight. You know, it's to leave the hotel, check out early, blah blah blah. You're there. I'm like, I'm hungry. Let me grab a sandwich. And then the sandwich was $14. Right? I'm like, I'm not gonna buy a $14 sandwich. My flight's $14. Right? So I just like, you know what? Once I get to LA, I'll just buy a sandwich there. I've flown cross country from San Fran to New York for like, I think, $75.
No way, man.
This is the problem. This is the problem.
I flew New York to Atlanta for like $19.
But are you going on the regular same search like Google Flights or whatever?
So I use Momondo, but yeah, Google.
What's Momondo?
Momondo is I'll
one of our sponsors.
Yeah, okay, yeah, one of our sponsors, exactly. So there's some tricks. You got to play with the dates. Like the same flight, if you book it like.
I've seen that, yeah, depending on the. But I've never seen that cheap.
I can show you right now. I can go
on all the time.
Websites, and I flew from Toronto to Miami for $130-$140 round trip.
That's fantastic.
What year?
Just a few months ago.
Are these the budget airlines or regular
they're all
airlines?
Budget.
Okay.
And you can't like take anything. Basically, all you can do is take your backpack.
Yeah, just like Ryanair. Yeah. Anyone who's been to Europe knows Ryanair. It's the same thing. Like you pay for your carry-on even, but exactly. It's dirt cheap.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. And they want you to buy a sandwich. They want you to buy, they want you to buy.
Yeah, they have their way to make money, but
$20 though. Like this is the problem, right? You know, in Canada, I feel like what these other airlines do is just buy up their competitors, right? And then you look at an airline like Air Canada, who's heavily subsidized by the government. Like, how many times has Air Canada been bailed out? These competitors do not get the same sort of bailout.
That's their mode. They made their name Air Canada. That'd be really embarrassing if Air Canada goes out of business, right? It would be like a national tragedy.
Yeah, because then they buy Canadian Air. Was another
Canadian Airlines?
Yeah, so
bellied up.
So now, okay, well then now, like, who's their competition?
Yeah, no one. So this is the thing, right? Like, I think these budget airlines are really good for Canada, right? As you said, Europe. I did 7 stops in Europe. The 4 of us, my wife and my 2 kids, 7 stops one way. 4 of us combined was $1,100.
That's crazy.
How do you do that, right?
Yeah.
I flew from Venice to like Nice, France for like 17 euros.
This
That's
is
amazing.
ridiculous, man. We get ripped
so
off.
here, some I had a relative that came in a few years ago. Was on a tourist visa, and they flew all around Canada. Right? They're like, "Hey, we're gonna go to Calgary. We're gonna go." I'm like, "Oh, awesome! Like, tell me how it is." Like, "Oh, you never went to Calgary?" I'm like, "It's in the same country."
Yeah,
like, Why would I spend $700 to go to Calgary and spend $700 to go to Europe?
Right? That's how I always think of.
That too. All inclusive in the Caribbean for the same amount of money.
When Swoop and like Flair started, I'm like, oh, $200? Okay, I'll go to Calgary, right? I'll go to like,
That's actually so true. You know, one of the only reasons I visited the East Coast of Canada was never in my bucket list. Was never. You know why? Because Flair had some sales like whatever, $200 round trip. It was a direct flight. I'm like, hey guys, you want to see PEI? Yeah, let's all go, and we all went. So you know what? If government, you want to increase tourism, you want us to explore Canada as Canadians, which we don't, there's a way to do so. And you know what's funny? It is true. Americans see a lot more of America on average than like a Canadian sees Canada. In fact, I had no interest to see any of Canada aside from maybe Vancouver.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's the same thing. And I met a lot of people that traveled I've met a lot of people that flew all around America, seen so many cities, and like, well, I've never actually been out of the country. I'm like, whoa. How is that possible?
That's right?
Yeah, but I guess there's so much to see in America, so many cities and stuff.
Yeah.
Like you can probably be entertained just by going from city to city.
Now, I know they are working on, unless it was a parody, another way of doing budget airline where it's for very short flights where you stand, you just hold something. But it'll be dirt cheap flight.
Serious?
Yeah.
No, you're joking.
Yeah, so sort of got, they have a good model. It's like, it's kind of like being on subway. Think about it. Some subway rides are the same amount of time. Right?
You're right. You're right.
Just kind of standing.
I would do that. Like,
but they're really cheap.
You're gonna stand?
Like really cheap. Yeah, literally. I'd probably actually feel safer.
I just don't know about that.
I saw you guys Google it. Standing seats.
I am gonna
They look
Google
kind of
it.
cool. They have the ones where it's kind of like has like a little thing. You can kind of lay down, but it's not like a seat. Yeah.
Making it up.
I got to see this.
All right, we're done. All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.